Cafe Cats. We're back with another wallpaper. As I was scrolling through my Twitter feed, as I usually do every single day, I kind of noticed the pattern that's going on right now at the beginning of this year. It seems like a lot of people have really been burning themselves out or have been so depressed that they've been giving themselves really bad art block. So in this video, I kind of want to talk about the different things that has actually helped me as a person who does this full time, to not burn out, and I'm hoping that they kind of help you out in the long run. The things I'm gonna tell you don't actually have an order to them, so you can do them however you want if you want to try. But these are also things that my wife actually has implemented in my work stuff that has actually helped a lot in these times where I've almost burned out. So we shall begin. The first one I'm going to talk about is actually having deadlines for pieces or just in general for your work. I've noticed that having a timeline on like when I should get something finished has really helped with burnout, because before, and I'm going to be super honest with you, I used to just work through the entire day on one thing and just try to get it out as quickly as possible, which really doesn't help with burning out, let alone with somebody who suffers with like anxiety and depression. So having deadlines and being like, okay, I have, this much time, like I have a week to finish this. So that way I'm not struggling and trying to hurt myself to get something out as quickly as possible. So a deadline is really good to have. The next one would be, if you're not really fond of having a deadline, working on things through rotation has also really helped. Like, even if I know I can work on something for like a month, not doing it like one whole day, just that, like seeing that one thing all day long. I would only work for something for like an hour and then switch to something else. So let's say I'm working on a full rendered piece, and I know that this thing can last for a whole month if I really need to. I will only work on it for maybe like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, but then I'll switch to something else and like sketch something else to the next commission, because when you're staring at something for so long, it can become tedious, and like later you can find out that you've made some mistakes and stuff, because if you stare at something for crazy amount of hours, you will burn out. Like that is setting yourself up to do that. So you kind of just want to like take your time and go through other things you're going to work on, even if it's personal stuff. Just move along and kind of switch out and then come back to it. Then you can like have a new fresh eyes, fresh breather on the whole piece, and then you can be like, okay, let's continue on. I don't have to hurt myself on this. So that's another thing you guys can do other than doing deadlines, is to do a rotation through. As someone who does a lot of just work pieces, one of the bigger ones that I like really recommend is actually trying to get in some personal art time, even if it's like your own characters, fan art, or anything you guys are interested in. Because if you're only doing work, it doesn't become, it's not as fun to do something that you love doing. And I think that this is one of the biggest problems, like I know I tend to have, is like sometimes I just don't have the energy or time to actually do stuff for myself. Even after I'm done working, I'm just like, okay, I'm so like done for the day. Like I did a bunch of art already. I don't want to art for myself. Even when I have ideas about wanting to art for myself, I'm like, okay, no, I'm done. I can't do this. So I would take, even like you do half a day for commissions, or whatever you're doing for your work, and then doing the rest of the day for personal things, because you do need that time to kind of de-stress and have fun with your own stuff and your own interests. Because if you don't, You will explode. And I've seen so many people exploding on Twitter, and it's crazy. So please stop exploding. Can't handle it. Another thing I really recommend is switching your mediums. Um, Sometimes it's really helpful because I do a majority and mostly everything on, a tablet online digitally. That sometimes you just need to step back away from your computer and actually go sketch on like actual paper and do whatever it is that you actually like did before the computer stuff happened. I know for me, like when I first started drawing, it wasn't digitally. I know some people have gone straight from like, oh, I'm gonna draw, and have had this option of just going directly to digital. But as a person who didn't have or couldn't afford those things at the time, let alone being young and unable to, have a tablet and stuff, um, it's great to go back to like watercoloring or just sketching in a sketchbook or just inking. It's just a lot of things that kind of slow you down in the long run and give you some time to kind of refresh and come back to those things that you need to get done later. So it's that is something I definitely recommend to kind of give you away from like screen time, because I feel like that actually tires you after a while, like being in front of the screen. So hopefully that one works out for some of you guys. Because I know a lot of people don't recommend that often when I see other videos or like people giving advice to other people on how to not burn out. So I feel like that is a big one that a lot of people should try to do when they are feeling that they're going in that direction. Another thing that I recommend is having what my beautiful wife decided to give me a better term for it is background noise. So like listening to things while you're working and not having like a complete silent studio or office is actually super helpful when it comes to like focus. At least for me, because um before I started doing this super intensely, I used to work in like ultra silence, and my wife thought that was like super weird.
It's like working in a vacuum.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even have music or anything on, but now like I need it. I like super need it, and sometimes like I can't work without having some sort of like something running in the back, like either YouTube videos that I don't have to watch, or music, or um, podcasts, or whatever. Like it just helps you with your brain. I feel like so that is something I recommend if you want to like not be driving yourself insane while you're working. Something else that like I really miss from actually going to art school that sometimes it's really hard for me to get now is working with like other people, and I always felt more motivated and inspired when I was working with like a group of people. So multi-streaming usually helps with burning out and also from feeling like lonely. And I know like for people who work at home and don't have a lot of interaction with the outside world, stuff like that can actually really be helpful. And I feel like a lot of people who struggle with the whole burning out and being depressed and stuff while they're doing art is that like this is kind of an isolating kind of job. Not for everyone, because I know some people who have just like massive amounts of people around them all the time. But for some of us that don't have that kind of interaction or that kind of sort of thing, that it's really helpful to find a couple friends to just work on stuff with, or even voice chatting to help you with talking through whatever you're working on. So I really recommend that if you don't like to do the whole listening with background noise, that you kind of still surround yourself with something, because it is helpful kind of group mentality to actually get things out of the way, not have to really focus on time, because that seems to be one of the major reasons people burn out. When you're having fun, things do go a lot more smoothly. So that is also something I do recommend highly. And lastly, I want to remind you that, for one, you're not a machine. So stop trying to be. And I know a lot of people look at us as an artist and just think that we spew out, art, and that it doesn't hurt us if we, do too much. So don't push yourself. Remember to take your breaks, even if you have to put alarms on your phone that, every hour or two you take a break, because working through hours and not taking breaks will burn you down. And have fun. And if you're not having fun anymore, you know, take some time for yourself and then come back, because I've had so many people, or I have seen so many people, say like, "Oh, I can't do this anymore. This isn't for me." And it's because they've just threw themselves into their work and then like didn't come out of it in a good place. So, just enjoy what you do and just keep practicing, and you know just love the pieces and put all the love that you can in the pieces. And that's pretty much what I got for burnout. So I hope some of this helps you. um if anything, you can always try to find what works for you, but I would try maybe one or two things, if anything. There are plenty of other things you could try that other people have posted somewhere around the world online, but this is what I got. This was worked for me, so I hope it helps. I'd like to give a thank you to my patrons: Blazy, Blisskit, Celeste Brooke, Dally Pup, Esquilador, Exora, Jessie, Luxie, Madame, Marcia, Nat, Nirvana Dravon, Ryozan, Csaid, Tef Forbidden, Tenerbis, Unicorn, and Vi. And a big thank you to Kiru, Dakota Vega, and TechOrb.